like speaking up at the doctor's office because you weren't allowed to speak up as a child. I think you had to relearn how to speak up at work because it was always do as I say, not as I do. And most importantly, you can't even pick up nuances in arguments because everything was made to be black or white in your household.
I saw that video. I definitely wanted to do a response to that because it resonated with me. But funny enough, I had two conversations recently about the particular topic in that video. It was from two different spectrums. But yeah, I agree with what she said. It is very important that you allow your children to speak up and to question things. And I practiced that early on in the journey because, again, like I've said previously on other videos, because based off of my own trauma, it was important for me for my children to have a voice because I did not feel like I had a voice growing up, and particularly my daughter. And the reason I said particularly to my daughter because my daughter is a black girl who will become a black woman, and we know how the world treats black women. Well, I know based off of my perspective. I can't speak for everybody else, just for me. So it was extremely important for me for my children to have a voice. Now some people I wouldn't say upon meeting my daughter, I'll say upon being around my daughter for an extended period of time, some people may deem her as disrespectful. The thing is, I don't necessarily think my daughter is disrespectful, but I can understand off the premise of why people may look at my daughter and think a certain way or feel a certain way. So for me, my daughter is 12. And I've always allowed my daughter to toe the line when it comes to questioning things and speaking her mind because I feel like it's important for her to have a voice. Two reasons: my own trauma, and secondly, I have two children. I have an older child who's 6 years older than my daughter, and looking back at him, I always question if I did not allow him to have enough of a voice growing up, and that's why. So for me, I'm always throw astrology into it. For me, I feel like it could be a mixture of who he is as his personality and of my parenting, because as you guys know, I've mentioned a couple of times, my son and I have some of the same placements. He's just an Aquarius sun. I'm a Capricorn sun, and we kind of have the same temperament and kind of do things the same way, even though we had two totally different childhoods. So I feel like the way he navigates could be a mixture of his personality as well as my parenting, of course. So when I did, hindsight is 2020. When I noticed the differences with him, I decided that it was more important that I do things a little differently with my second child. I mean, parents, sometimes you do things with your first child because you don't know, and then you do stuff differently with another child, and then so on and so on. And for my daughter, I always felt like it was important for her to question, for her to speak up, for her to know her own voice, especially in this world. So at home, my daughter has the safety and the peace to question things and to speak about certain things, especially when it comes to the way she feels. Because I need her to be able to do that. I need her to be able to go out into the world, and if an adult says something to her, or if anyone says something to her, for her to be like, wait, no, I don't like the way you said that, or I don't like the way you came at me. I need her to be able to do that because, as we know, how the world treats black women, we're looking at it right now, but that's another topic for another day. But anytime I have certain conversations with people, especially when it comes to questioning, I don't necessarily feel like people are questioning my parenting. In a sense, they could be, but for me, even if they are, they're not. It's not going to change the way I parent things. I'm still going to do things the way I do things anyway. But for me, when I have certain conversations about that particular topic of allowing my children to be, to have a voice and to be outspoken and to question things, it does two things for me. It reaffirms I'm doing the right thing, And it also helps me to refine. Maybe I'm allowing my daughter to put her toe a little bit too much over the line. Maybe I should speak to her more about it, especially as she goes older. So yeah, that's what that does for me. And like I said, that previous video I posted, like, I wholeheartedly agree, and I definitely think as parents we all should be that way, but I know everyone is different.